Hey guys, Jay here. I wanted to give a small and short build update as to what's been going on. So, last I checked in with you guys, we were using a unique item called the Katava's Feast for my weapon. So, since then, I have been working on a rare weapon. This is a 1000 DPS axe, and most importantly, it has both Fortify and Calling Strike on bleeding enemies. So, this specific weapon is going to kick my damage to a whole nother level, and not to mention the fact that if I'm fighting something like Cyrus, I always have a gem ready. I'm going to swap Brutality with Melee Splash just because you don't need Melee Splash for bossing. Now, other than that, I have gotten a new helmet, and currently with this, biggest takeaways are the enchant for Pride has 15% reduced mana reservation. So this is actually gonna help me out a ton with mana reservation issues without needing to dedicate nodes from my tree. And then the nearby enemies take 12% increased fizz damage. So that's an elevated Elder mod. Typically, I believe it's 9%. So it's not a huge difference, but it definitely makes a fairly substantial difference in game. And lastly, power charges. So in combination together, as of now, if the enemy is on consecrated ground while I have the bottled faith up, I have a 100% chance to crit and no need for a diamond flask. And most importantly related to that, I was able to get rid of a lot of crit nodes on my tree. So I no longer need those two, no longer need this. And soon I'm actually looking to get rid of this node as well. The problem is the accuracy rating right now is a little bit lacking, but that can be fixed. It's just going to take a little bit more work. I believe my best bet is to sell this Headhunter, which has a Arcane Surge enchant, which adds about 20 to 30x to the value, and just have a lab runner go and, get one done for me to where it's increased accuracy, global accuracy rating while you have Onslaught. So I'm permanently getting Onslaught from my ring because it's on hit for 4 seconds, and obviously I'm attacking more than once every 4 seconds. And other than that, not much has changed. I haven't done much to either my amulet or my ring since last time. For my boots, I've actually gotten rid of one of the resistance mods on there. I believe it was something like 10%. It's completely unnecessary. And as far as crit multi goes, I am currently running, I believe, 6 crit multi jewels with 3 crit multi stats. So they would have two-handed melee crit, global crit multi, and then melee crit multi. The other 2 I'm running are actually to help out with my resistances. That's another thing I really do need to work on. I have an open slot on my boots that I can throw resistances on, and other than that, I can get rid of the crafted mods on these, and then from there potentially get rid of this. So the only ideal resistances I want from my tree are these 2 and this. Reason is, this is getting me a jewel socket, which I need. Otherwise, this is just simply wasting points. Now, another big thing that I've changed is the cluster jewels. So previously, I wasn't using Feed the Fury or Fuel the Fight because Katava's Feast has mana and life leech built in. But now I am running those. I had to find jewels that had run through and, individually one of those. So it was a little tough, but we got it done, and that took care of that issue. But otherwise, there's nothing too significant. This one has all elemental resistances, 3%, nothing crazy. The other thing I wanted to discuss was what I'm doing to my tree in relation to the type of content I'm doing. So someone asked me on stream, why I was taking these 3 specific nodes for Rage. And that's because it actually adds a very substantial amount of damage while you're, you know, at the maximum rage. Disclaimer, if you're doing Cyrus, if you're doing bosses where you're not going to be able to build up to that full 75 rage and maintain it, if you're constantly using Berserk because your build isn't strong enough to not have to use it, don't take this node. This is a terrible, terrible idea. Type of content I'm doing is 100% Delirious maps, tier 19s, and also Simulacrums. I'm constantly maintaining the Berserk. I rarely ever use Berserk. So realistically, this is a really good option for me, personally. But otherwise, the main focus is on the tree at this point in the league is of the actual damage nodes on the overall, tree here. This and this are the only two pertaining to like just added straight damage. So this gives you crit multi, this gives you the rage, as I said, and attack speed, kinda. The rest is for accuracy rating, fortify effect. This one technically is damage, but I plan to get rid of it soon. Regardless, though, even if you wanted to, I also do have this actually, and then more fortify effect. This I also want to get rid of, but as you can tell, I'm mainly focusing on getting my crit multi, my main damage from these jewels, because ultimately it leads to more DPS and allowing me to get more life because they have built-in 7% life on those jewels. So I'm over 5k. Realistically, in a map, my theoretical maximum DPS is something around like 200 million DPS, but I think it's going to be a little more realistic to show you how I'm typically running it, just because there's a misconception of like max DPS versus what you're actually using. So I'll go ahead and import it, and I can show you guys how I'm typically set up in a map. So let's just say, for example, I'm running a Simulacrum. I'm still going to put Cyrus DPS just for the hell of it. Now, banner stages, that's not going to really matter because I'm never planting my banner. And if you can tell, it literally makes no difference on DPS. So I'm not going to touch that. For Pride Aura effect, I am going to set this to maximum just because if anything doesn't get one shot, it's going to get that maximum effect. So for example, if I'm on way 20 on a Simulacrum and there's a Kosis and Omni, I might get to that maximum effect. I'm also going to run Blood Stance on Simulacrums. I do run Sand Stance sometimes depending on the mods I get on the 100% Delirious maps. I run tier 19 Burial Chambers, so I might run Sand Stance if it's a little too spicy. Obviously, I'm always maintaining max power and frenzy charges by having the Feral's Fur. I am going to set the rage to 75. I typically have Tailwind. I typically have Elusive. I always have Fortify if I'm fighting. I always have Onslaught if I'm fighting. I'm always critting. As you can tell, 100% hit chance. Oh, I haven't actually even enabled my flasks. Let me do that real quick. So there you go. 100% crit chance, 100% hit chance. So I am always critting. Now go back where I was. There we go. Have I killed recently? If I'm doing a Simulacrum, yes, more than likely I have, because I'm not setting this up for bossing. So I don't think that even makes any difference there. And then lastly, gotta activate these jewels from the clusters. And I believe that is every... Oh, actually, enemies are intimidated. That's just a small one. Melee distance to enemy. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but always set that to 0 if you're playing Flicker Strike, just because by nature of Flicker Strike, you're always pretty much 0 from the enemy. Now, whether or not I have Cat Stealth or Cat's Agility makes very little difference. And I believe, Endurance Charges, that's just going to add to my physical damage reduction, which is already capped at 90%. I'm constantly hitting that. Now, here's what we also need to do. We need to disable a few things here. So I'm not going to always hit Val Haste. I'm not going to always hit Val Grace. Not that that really matters for DPS. And then where's Berserk? So also Berserk. I'm not going to hit that pretty much ever during a simulacrum. I might hit it on the last wave just because I don't need the rage after that, right? So realistically, I'm constantly outputting this much DPS while I'm in a simulacrum, without a doubt. I run Lunaris and Shikari. That's not really important. And then one thing, I am leeching. I did forget that. And lastly, are you on consecrated ground? Typically I am. And that's just because I'm always flask spamming. So that's gonna, help out a ton with my degen. But otherwise, this is a realistic number that I am achieving during simulacrums and also during the 100% delirious maps. Not only that, but I'm running Headhunter. This is not including any mods that I would get from Headhunter. And other than that, there's really not much to talk about. So I'll go ahead and link my POB in the description of this video. And one thing I did want to show you guys before I got off here. So if I'm ever doing anything like Cyrus or any other boss for that matter, I am going to be using Berserk as soon as I have it up. I'm not going to let the rage build up. So this is what my bossing setup looks like. I'm not going to have any rage built up typically. And then I'm also going to gem swap. I'm going to be swapping melee splash for brutality. So that is the damage I am achieving in a situation like fighting Cyrus. Yeah, I did put Cyrus DPS. So otherwise, that will be it for this video. The next build update will be the final build update for the league. And that would be once I have everything completely done to a point where I don't feel like I can improve the build in a reasonable fashion at all. And from there, I'm probably gonna start a new character, something like that. Don't have any plans just yet, but do tune in. I have a schedule, and I do stream on weekends, every single weekend. But otherwise, throughout the week, I am a little bit busy with work. So if you guys don't catch me, feel free to, drop a follow, subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment, please ask any questions, and stop by the stream, say hello. Thanks, you guys. Peace.